Hi everyone, welcome back to Nurturing Neurodiversity. Now I get asked a lot about whether our 4-year-old son is potty trained, and if he is, then how we did it. However, it is a topic I've always been a bit reluctant to discuss in too much detail because I feel like it's a very private thing and this is a very public platform. I want to respect my son's privacy, but at the same time I know it's a topic a lot of parents struggle with, and I want to help you and your children in any way that I can. So here's how I'm going to do that. I have spoken to several different parents online about the issues they faced and how they overcame them. So this video is going to include not only our experiences, but those of the families I've been in contact with as well. I will say one thing about our experience that won't come as a huge surprise, and that's the fact he was older than your typical child when we started to toilet train him. However, now, at almost 4.5 years old, Dexter is almost completely potty trained. The thing is, each child is very different. Anyway, add autism and the difference from one child to the next can be absolutely huge. I can't stress the importance of treating each child as an individual enough. Don't stress yourself out trying to adhere to a developmental timeline that was created based on that average typical child's brain. To make this easier, myself and a wonderful, incredibly experienced pediatric occupational therapist from the US have worked together, we've collaborated to create like a mini toilet training prep work booklet that you can fill in and really helps you to think about this process and keep you on track with it all.
Hey, my name is Danielle Delorenzo. I am a pediatric occupational therapist with over 20 years of experience within special education. I am so excited to be here today and share with you this amazing potty training guide for neurodivergent children. When Faye had approached me and asked to collaborate, I was so excited about this project because now that I had potty trained over 1,000 kids within my career, I have now been going through the experience of potty training my own neurodiverse 3-year-old. And it is amazing how much you have to really listen and follow their lead when I know it can seem like you have heard all of these different ways. You can search on Google for thousands and thousands of approaches to helping your child potty train. I'm here to tell you something. There's no right answer. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. This isn't something that is going to take a day, 2 days, 3 days. I mean, it could. But honestly, what I have learned through watching others over my years of experience and through my own experience, that when you let go of time frames and timelines and just focus on what the cues your child are showing you right now, that is all you need to help your child be successful.
You know, one of the things both Danielle and I will stress is that preparation is key here. You really have to think about so many extra things when you're potty training a child who thinks differently. And now I can send you a copy. Anyone can access a free copy, completely free. If you want to head over to my Instagram page and DM me your email address, and I will fire it over to you. Okay, so question 1. Is the child physically ready? Now with typical children, when you ask yourself, are they ready to be toilet trained? They're usually signs like they'll tell you when they need to go, or they'll tell you whilst they're going in a nappy. But with autistic children, particularly children who are non or minimally verbal, they can be ready to be trained long before they're actually able to communicate that they need to go. Now, something you need to bear in mind is that children with autism sometimes have difficulty with the sense of knowing what's going on inside our bodies. Things such as feeling hungry or thirsty or tired or in pain, or the sensation of needing to go to the bathroom. And this is why you have to be sure that they are physically ready and aware of those toileting sensations, because if they're not there yet, then it really just won't be possible to train them, and you're just going to have to wait a little while longer. So here are some signs that a child may be physically ready that don't involve communicating that they need to go. So they might hide or go to a certain spot or stop what they're doing. When they're going to the bathroom, they may pull their pants down, try to remove their nappy or pull on the nappy when they're wet or dirty. You might notice that their nappy is dry for longer periods of time. or dry when they wake up. Even if your child isn't doing any of those things, there's still a chance that they may be ready to be potty trained. And number two, you have to consider if there are any medical issues. Now, gastrointestinal issues are very common in children with autism. So if you have any concerns about bowel habits, unusual or highly variable consistency, if they go very frequently, irregularly, or not often enough, then you really need to get those checked out with the doctor first to make sure there's nothing medical going on or nothing dietary that's having an impact on your child's bowel function, because that might prevent them from being successfully potty trained. You have to think about whether there are any sensory issues that you may need to address. Now, toileting can be sensory hell for some children. Common issues are being scared by the sensation of going, that can be quite frightening or distressing, finding the toileting environment stressful, if you think about cold seats, loud hand dryers, loud flushes. It can also be an opportunity for some to actually seek sensory input. Some children, have like a compulsion to smear, or they really want to play in the water, or they might become obsessed with the visual of the water in the flush. I am not qualified to go into how you combat each of these issues, and quite frankly there isn't the time, but there is a wealth of information online from other parents who have been through it and from occupational therapists. Danielle, who you heard from earlier, she puts out a whole range of resources and live videos and great things on her Instagram page. If you want to follow her, that's a great start. I say online because I know not everybody can get access to occupational therapy in real life, but if you can, do it. So you're going to want to pay really close attention, see if anything is bothering your child on a sensory level, eliminate any sources of sensory distress as best you can, make the environment welcoming for the child, and you might consider distractions or alternative means of allowing the child to gain that sensory input. For example, no, you can't play in the toilet water, but when we leave the bathroom, there's a small water tray you can play in. You also have to think of, will they understand what is expected of them? This is a problem for a lot of children with autism because they struggle with imitation and often with understanding verbal language. So don't assume, just because you show them what to do or you talk to them about what they need to do, that will be enough for them to understand. You need to think about really breaking it down in that step-by-step process. There are many steps to walk the child through when you think about it. You walk to the potty or the toilet, you pants down, sit down, use the potty, stand up, wipe pants up, walk to the sink, wash your hands, dry your hands. And if you are teaching your child in a step-by-step way, you need to follow these steps every time so they know exactly what to expect. Lots of autistic children benefit from routine, so keeping those things the same will be hugely beneficial. Now, I'm referring to autistic children here, but I know a lot of people who are interested in potty training, they may not have that autism diagnosis, or I think this works for any sort of neurodivergence, so children with any sort of developmental difference. One thing that can be very helpful is if you get some visual supports in place. Lots of neurodivergent children are visual learners, and having pictures of the process, either real photos or symbols, according to what works best for your child, can really help with this understanding. Another idea that's a little bit out there, sometimes children are very fascinated by technology. Maybe you can find videos that will help with their understanding, and if you can be 100% sure that these videos will remain completely private and you're not putting the child at risk, could you film parts of the process and then play it back to them via a screen? Because video modeling can be helpful in so many different situations. So you also have to think about, can they communicate the need to go? And the answer to this might be no for a while, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't start trying. Dexter was completely unable to communicate his need to go when we started seeing success with toilet training. But that being said, you still have to enable them to communicate that need to go if they want to do it, and model it for them consistently, so hopefully they will pick it up themselves. If your child is verbal, this may be a word you use before they start the toilet trip. If they are non-verbal and non-speaking, it may be a sign or a visual, like a PEX card or a button on an AAC device. Motivation. Now this is the absolute biggest hurdle for most of us parents, I think. How do you motivate them to want to do the whole potty training thing? You'll probably know maybe that things like reward charts, or like enthusiastically telling them they're going to be in big kid pants, or the things that work for typical kids, often have little to no effect on autistic kids. So how else can you do it? Think about what their natural interests are and consider how you can maybe incorporate that into toilet training. So my son loves trains and loves dropping them into water. So we played a game where when the wee-wee went splash, the trains went splash too, not in the potty, in a bowl of water next to him. But he was old enough to understand by then that the trains went splash in the water and not the pee. He would not have got that a year before. Another thing you can do is get some visual stim toys, or tactile stim toys. That in the booklet I give some examples of what I'm talking about here, but it's something that gives them like a distraction or something to calm them when they're going to the bathroom. Now, go with your own child. Again, for some children these sorts of things might be too distracting and actually stop them from carrying on with the task. But for others who maybe otherwise reluctant to sit down long enough to go, this might calm them. Or for children who may find it quite distressing on a sensory level. You really have to think creatively about what works for your child, not my child or the autistic kid down the street, your child. Also, you're going to want to think about praise, because when kids do something great, our natural instinct, a lot of us as parents, is to go, yeah, well done, high five, cuddles, lots of love. But actually, neurodivergent children don't always respond to praise in the same way as typical children. Some are indifferent to it, some actually shy away from it. So use praise if you think it will work, whether that be verbal or high fives or clapping or hugging, but keep it to what you think would motivate your child. Another very important question, are all caregivers on the same page? Everyone who takes care of your child needs to be on the same page, down to the fine details, to ensure consistency. That will be the same visuals, the same step-by-step process, the same motivators, the same way of managing sensory difficulties, etc., etc. Maybe, in fact, there's a page on the back of the work booklet that you maybe could print out for everyone so they can refer back to it and everyone can stick to the plan. I would personally observe your child's toileting habits before you begin, when they go, any clues they give that they're about to go, and these cues can be quite subtle, so you're going to really need to pay attention. If the weather is nice, maybe you could just have some nappy free time, and then you can really see, providing it isn't distressing for the child. And expect setbacks. Don't assume that setbacks are like a loss of ability. It could be as simple as just a lack of motivation. Other things are more interesting than going to the bathroom. Or it could be, that your child is communicating something to you. If you have a setback, is it because they are upset or they're unsettled by something in their lives at the moment? Are they in pain? Could it be something that medically needs looking at? I think that's something that's definitely overlooked in children with neurodevelopmental conditions. Setbacks in potty training are actually normal in all kids, but it can be harder to figure out the reason in autistic little ones or little ones that are developing differently. It does not mean that all is lost. It is most likely a temporary blip, so have faith that you'll figure it out together. And finally, don't feel defeated if things don't work the first time. We didn't see success the first time we tried potty training. Just keep up with the gentle encouragement, keep talking about it, keep coming back to it, keep showing those visuals, and if you need to park the idea for a while and come back to it in a few months, then so be it. It's not the end of the world. Just because a child isn't toilet trained by a certain age doesn't mean they'll never be trained. I've always said ability does not equal worth. a child is not less valuable because they are not toilet trained, because they're still in nappies. Parenting a neurodivergent child, you really have to see the whole journey as a marathon and not a sprint. It is all about the long game.
Thank you so much for being here today and taking the first step on your potty training journey with your child. The more individualized you make the supports for your child, the more successful that they will be.
Thank you for watching. Hop over to my Instagram or Danielle's Instagram if you want a copy of the workbooklet, and I hope it is helpful for you. I will be back with another video soon. Bye!